Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development, where we share original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. We hope you join us often for practitioner-oriented content around all things related to leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with Human Capital Innovations Podcast. Do you enjoy the Human Capital Innovations Podcast? Please subscribe, leave a review, comment, share, and consider supporting the podcast on Patreon, even at the producer and sponsorship levels. Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. In this HCI podcast episode, I talk with Romain Dumont about the importance of human connection and presence in today's tech-centered world. Romain Dumont, welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast.
Thank you for having me, John.
It is a pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Paris, France. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. Today, we're going to be exploring the importance of human connection and presence in today's tech-centered world. And this is something you have unique expertise in, given your company and your app that's all about connecting people across the world with a simple touch. And I'll explain more about that in a minute. I'll give you a chance to explain more about that as well after I share your bio. But I think this will just be a really fun conversation. And clearly, we are in an increasingly interconnected, globalized world. And that's facilitated more and more by technology. Just like we're able to connect across the ocean via Zoom to have this really nice conversation and then disseminated across the world for people all over to listen to. There are other technologies and methods for people to connect, and we just need to figure out how to do that in a more human way that will allow us to have our social needs met. We are, in fact, social animals. Human beings need to be connected with other people. Even if you're introverted, even if you kind of like being alone, you still need human connection, just maybe not quite as much as some people. And so we just need to figure out how to do that in a day and age where it seems like we're getting more and more disconnected, despite having the opportunity to connect more than ever. So that's going to be the conversation for today. As we get started, I wanted to share Romain's bio with everybody. Romain Dumont is founder of Hilo, the first app that connects people across the world with a simple touch. A native of France with an entrepreneurial spirit, he worked for 16 years in the consulting industry and co-founded his first company in Japan when he turned 30. As a managing partner for multiple companies, he has been instrumental in the success of each of those firms. After selling his company in 2011 and helping the new owners merge in a subsequent acquisition in 2015, he moved on to challenge himself in the digital arena and worked for 2 years as managing director for Momomi, a leading firm in IoT and augmented reality based in Palo Alto. At the end of 2019, he started Hilo as a side project while working throughout 2020 at a startup specializing in creating authentic visual content at scale. Willing to ensure the success of Hilo, Romain has been focusing solely on his new venture since 2021. He graduated from the HEC School of Management and holds a bachelor's degree in art history from the Sorbonne. He is a father of 2 boys and an active business angel with multiple investments, mainly impact-driven and women-led ventures. What a tremendous background. It is truly a pleasure to be with you. Anything else you would like to share with listeners by way of your background, personal context, kind of personal history before we dive on in further?
Thank you for this bio. Well, my wife is British Indian, so I have definitely in my life, a very broad view of the world. Actually, my grandmother was half American, so I really have, I think I can call myself a citizen of the world.
Yeah, that's fantastic. why don't we start by you telling us a little bit more about your current venture? Tell us about the app. Tell us about why you decided to start it, start the company. And then we can, after kind of zooming in on that, we can zoom back out and talk a little bit more generally about how we can find more human connection amidst all of the tremendous technologies of our day.
It all started with a very sad event that happened in my life, in the life of my wife and I, in 2014. We were fortunate to have a baby boy in 2010, our first child, and we wanted another one. In 2014, we discovered that my wife and I had a genetic incompatibility, like we had the same gene at the very same place that for different reason had a mutation. So we had one chance out of 4 to have some genetic disease. And well, our second boy wasn't lucky and got it. So we knew that we were facing at the 5th months of pregnancy, a very grim future for this little boy. Anyway, we wanted to give him a chance, and he was born, and we loved him very much. So Raphael lived for 2 days, and he still lives in our heart, and he's here with us. But through this moment of grief and pain, I've learned 2 things. First, that in our society, we often have people that tell you, let it go, express yourself. It's good to to tell what you have on your heart. I was scared. Let me tell you, I was scared of me not being able to express myself, not finding the right words, and likewise, I could feel that people around us would not, find the words easily to express themselves. And at the same time, the beauty of it is that it was all right. It was okay to be silent. And I found that silence was actually not something bad, but something really positive. And yet silence is not something that in our world today we see as necessarily benevolent. It's more like, we're silent because we're feeling discomfort. And actually, no, silence can be something extremely positive that we should embrace. And for me, that was a real revelation. That's the first thing. And I would say one thing is, it's not just silence with presence. So knowing that people are right here for you with their presence, but not saying a single word. And the second thing I've learned as well is, I grew up in a quite Christian upbringing, and I discovered throughout this moment that some groups of people were eager to give us some support, and they were not religious. They were just here to say, well, we could gather for you and give some positive energy, to heal your child. And I was like, so what do you want from me? And they were, no, just your permission. Okay, well, yeah, sure. I love some good vibes and positive energy. And that was also, although it may sound a little bit naive, but for me, I was always tagging spirituality with religion. And the word prayer for me was always associated with a religion behind it. And I figured out, actually, no, you could be praying, so to speak, or having this moment given to you without actually connecting it to any religion. So yeah, why would atheists have not the right to actually give positive vibes, right? So those 2 things led me to just have this desire soon after the funerals to think about an app, thinking about a way for us at any time, anywhere in the world, to communicate our presence to anyone whenever we wanted. And I thought, well, obviously it would be pure presence, so it would be silent. So touch would be the way to communicate that. So it would be literally touching your phone for a certain time, and for people to know that you're touching, you're there. And that was back in 2014. I was general manager of a rather large consulting firm, and it took me 5 years to step outside of the consulting world and then find a friend of mine. I was in between Memomi and this other company, and she said, well, Roman, why do you look for another company? Why don't you create your own? And well, maybe you're right. And there was this one idea 5 years back that I thought, well, maybe, it's I got to do it. That's only me who can do this. And I started working on this, and I really had an epiphany. It was an amazing moment. It was around Christmas 2019, right before the pandemic. And then I happened to work for this startup, for one startup that contacted me anyway. But and then I as a side project, I worked on Hilo. So it's to heal with a hello. It's a combination of those words. And in 2021, last year, I decided to go full on onto Hilo, and we released the app in December last year. So about a little more than 3 months ago. So that's my story in a short.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. My heart breaks for you and your family. I am a father of 6 children, and I can't even imagine what it would be like to deal with that. I'm glad you were able to find some peace and comfort, and that you had support around you. And it's a really heartbreaking but really inspiring origin story for a new company, and for a new app that really, every intention is to just allow people to have more of that connection and healing, so that we can be there for each other even when we're not there physically. So I think that's fantastic. Tell us a little bit more about how it's been going with Hilo, and what the kind of the reception has been, and how it's being utilized. And I think, certainly in our personal lives, I can easily see that the application, and as you described, there are just heartbreaking moments and opportunities to lift the hands that hang down all around us all the time. But I'm also curious about how it may be utilized in a workplace, as I'm a manager of a team, or a senior leader trying to, show empathy and compassion and meet the emotional and psychological needs of my people. Maybe we can talk about that as well.
The core about Hilo is that really it fits a need that wasn't addressed. Often we think about people, or we want to be supporting people, even though you may have just had lunch with someone or just talked with someone, but the conversation was intense, so there were things that were unsaid, and you want to just add this extra feeling. So yeah, the idea of Hilo is really not losing any opportunity for you to express yourself and to say to someone that you think about him or her. But obviously, you don't do this with a phone. If you ever call someone and stay silent, that's going to be freaky. and if you text and you just text nothing, if you leave it blank, it would be seen as a mistake. So Hilo really fits this space where you literally just want to be there for someone. And so we have very interesting use cases. It's all very new. So when you talk about the working space, I think we're going to see more and more Hilo being used on the workspace, for bringing everyone's attention, especially when everyone is often playing with the phone, even though this is a big, everyone should be concentrated. So you could have easily, I can imagine a Hilo being part of a ritual that you do, and then you put your phone down, after being connected through the phone, which is somehow an extension of our bodies, let it down, and just listen, pay attention. So we've seen multiple cases. So I'll just name a few. One is between lovers. That one works. Between lovers, definitely, it's something, you want to say that you love someone very often, but at the same time, just typing it doesn't sound always easy, or after typing it once, you want to say something else. So yeah, just being silent. And you can be in real time on Hilo. Just for everyone to know how it works. You say Hilo very much like you do on WhatsApp or Telegram, similar apps. So you say Hilo to you, John, and I'll just, so you'll receive a notification. I'll just stay with at least one finger on the screen of my phone. I have a circle of color. That's the avatar on Hilo. And if you're available, very much like a phone call, sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. You will come up, and I'll see your circle coming into my screen, and you'll see mine. And we'll be right here, right now, connected, silent. The circles are breathing next to each other. So there's something very very calm, very, very simple and beautiful. And at the end of 30 seconds, because you have to stay 30 seconds in a row, that's the core principle of Hilo. Super intentional. It's not just a little like that you just press in no time. So you stay for those 30 seconds. You can stay longer if you'd like. And once you just feel like, okay, I got to move on, you lift your fingers and then you're invited to draw. You do a little drawing. And that drawing adds a little bit more flavor about what is behind your intention to say Hilo to me. But you don't have to say it at first. You just say at last. So the first movement is, I just want to say, I think about you, I love you, I care for you. And at the end, you wrap, I call it the wrapping paper of the gift of time that you're making. So you wrap it, you just do a little drawing and you send it, and then the person receives the drawing. So that's how it works. So that works very well with lovers, as I said. It works very well with in relationships. In some sad cases, obviously it helps. So people who are sick, you want to tell them very often that you think about them. You can't just call them every other minute. It works with divorcee. I had multiple cases of parents who are divorced, and it's really painful to have their kids only once every 2 weeks. So to tell their kids, how much they care about them just before, it's like a hug, it's a bit like a digital hug to do a Hilo. So it really feels comfy and nice, and kids love it too, because they sometimes don't know really what to write, but doing a drawing is so much fun. We have also people doing Hilo when, they just for a birthday or for the, just rather than doing something that is textual, like typing happy birthday sounds, just letters that everyone use for other purposes. But doing a Hilo is also doing this really moment plus this signature. And the signature, actually, just to tell a few more words about it, is something people love because there is no more things we do with our hands, really. We don't write anymore with a pen so much. We don't write letters to friends. So doing a Hilo, and you can write as much as the screen of your phone is allowing you, that's really unique. It's very raw, very authentic. So yeah, so people love doing this. Although you have the feature already on your phones, very few people would do that. But because Hilo is integrating this in the process, people just love it. So yeah, just give you a couple of examples, but I think we're just seeing the beginning of it, and I'll talk more about the future of Hilo a bit later.
Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Academy. Courses, micro-credentials, and certificates to upskill and reskill for the future of work. All HCI Academy courses, micro-credentials, and certificates are designed, developed, and delivered by award-winning and internationally renowned scholars, educators, thought leaders, executives, and practitioners. Our courses, micro-credentials, and certificates will help you make your mark on the future of work and make an immediate impact in your organizations. Check out the HCI Academy and our many course offerings and certificates to upskill and reskill for the future of work. Check out our new weekly LinkedIn newsletter, Alchemizing Human Capital, exploring industry trends via original research and interviews with executives and thought leaders from across the globe. We look forward to having you join us. Well, I think that's fantastic. And as I think about these applications in the workplace, we know that one of the biggest drivers of employee engagement, satisfaction, and connection with their employer, their loyalty, commitment to the work that they do, is through the workplace relationships that they have. And, when we're physically together in a physical workplace, it's easy to swing by someone's office or their desk and to say hi, and you have those organic opportunities to connect, and you can have a meal with them. All those opportunities are there. But as we all well know, over the course of the last couple of years during the pandemic, so many people that used to be together in person have gone virtual. More and more organizations and teams have gone, distributed. So there, we have people from all across the world. And even now that organizations are trying to pull more people back to a physical office space, in many cases, that's a hybrid arrangement. So you're still virtual some of the time. And in other cases, companies really have learned to embrace more contingent workforce or a more distributed workforce, and it's simply not possible due to geographic constraints for people to be all together. And so finding real authentic ways for people to connect even when they have to work in a virtual workplace, so that they can feel some of those types of that togetherness, that presence, and the importance that they have for each other, the caring that they have for each other. Being able to embed that within our team, I think, is going to be very, very important. And certainly, when tragedy happens in life, if something were to happen to me, it would be really nice for members of my team to reach out and to express themselves this way. I have a member of my team. It was about a year and a half ago now, but he was in a very, very bad car accident, very bad, lucky to survive it, and was in the hospital for months following the accident. Something like this would be amazing for that. Like people tried to visit the hospital, tried to drop messages when we could. But it does, there's only so much you can get out of text or emails or even a phone call or a video chat. And you can't do those all the time. And like you said, sometimes when tragedy strikes, you don't need to say anything. You need the person to know that you're there for them, right? And that's exactly what you're describing through this app. So I really do see that this could be a tremendous benefit to teams, especially virtual teams or hybrid teams, distributed teams, to allow us to just have a better sense of connection, that we can recognize that social need we all have, that we can have that human connection and leverage the technology to bring us closer together, rather than allowing the technology to split us further apart.
I couldn't agree more, John. Actually, there was this beautiful book in 2020 from the general, how do you call him? It's the first doctor of the United States, first general surgeon, actually, I think you call him.
The Surgeon General, yeah.
Surgeon General, thank you. He's called Dr. Vivek Murthy, and is quite well known, I think, in the States. And he wrote a book called Together. And this book was really interesting for me to read, because this doctor, with all his know-how about how to treat cancer, how to treat tons of different diseases, he actually realized one thing is social connection is the core. And this is like water, food, air. This is like a vital supply. If we don't have social connection, we die. There is no way we can survive without it. And the more you build them, the more you foster them, the better, the healthier you are. And you can imagine that drugs, violence, everything is stemming from a lack of social connection. So as long as you have, we very often you say a family, family around, but it's just more than a family, friends. It could be your neighborhood, etc. And I think we realize that we got to make sure that we keep on, as you said with your colleague that had a car accident, we keep on, keeping the social connection, social bind. And it's obviously not so much by scrolling mindlessly on some social media that we're doing this. It's being really present for people is very different. And there is only so much time we can talk with people. I mean, I myself, I'd love to call a bit more my grandma, but sometimes, you feel, it's going to keep me for 30 minutes. And if I don't stay 30 minutes, then I'm going to be in trouble. So I just don't do it, which is sad. So, but at the same time, I'm losing an opportunity when I think about her not to do anything about it. So I think Hilo is really this tool that you can use anytime for many purposes on the work field and for one-on-one giving one-on-one presence, small group, and yeah, I'll tell you more about the public gathering also part, which is this big new feature coming up for Hilo in 2022. But that's what I wanted to share.
That's fantastic. That's wonderful. Yeah. So why don't we go there? Tell us about what's kind of coming up with Hilo. Tell us about this new feature as we get closer to our close, and then we'll start to wrap up.
Okay. Well, I guess, John, you are sometimes giving money for not-for-profit, are you? We all are to a certain extent. But not-for-profit organization, they really need donations. They really need money from you and I, from a lot of people. The way they're trying to get money is a lot through events, creating events, meaningful events, such as sports events and concerts. These are examples of things that not-for-profit are doing. But there are no ways right now, no opportunities for them to do meaningful 100% digital event. The closest to what you can do as a not-for-profit to bring people together is a Facebook Live, which, to be honest, is not super engaging. You can click to have little hearts, popping up. But on Hilo, what we're going to propose, and we'll have it set up for soon, middle of this year, is going to be for those not-for-profit to have channels on Hilo, for them to create events with a countdown. They'll be able to gather their community, and with an MC, obviously someone famous that can bring people together, and that's often the case. Fame is something celebrities are happy to give for not-for-profit, and you will be able, as a user, to live some amazing moment of silence for a cause that you feel strong about, hosted by an MC that you probably have some respect for, and you'll have the ability as a not-for-profit to propose at the end of the Hilo moment to have a little micro donation for your cause. And because on Hilo you have this drawing part, so you'll have tons of great, beautiful content, proofs of love, I call them, for your not-for-profits that you can then repost. You can put on big screens at the entrance of your building, etc., etc. You can even do a book every year with the most beautiful Hilo you'll have received. So I am extremely excited about this, and I'm already talking with some NGOs, not-for-profit organizations, and they truly just love it because it's super easy to set up. It's almost free of charge. I mean, I'm gonna have a SaaS model where they'll pay just a small fee every month, but it's gonna be really something engaging, emotionally super strong, and I can't wait to have not-for-profits creating their channels on Hilo.
That's wonderful. Roman, it has just been a pleasure. This is really fascinating to me. I look forward to exploring the app myself and testing it out. And I just think this is wonderful, especially for, certainly for individuals, as we've been talking about, but in the workplace, especially for distributed teams, those that are virtual or hybrid. I think this can really be a good tool to help us feel more connected, closer to each other, so we can develop those important, meaningful relationships of trust with each other and feel like we have each other's back. That's really important for a dynamic team to be able to move positively into the future and to produce, great results for the organization and for the consumer. So I think this is all wonderful. Before we wrap up for today, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with listeners how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, and then give us the final word on the topic for today.
Thank you, John. So you can, any listener who wants to know more and connect with me, you can connect through LinkedIn, or you can just send me an email at Romain, Romain, at Hilo, HEALLO.app. I am thrilled to have been invited today, John. It's been a real pleasure. You can check our website if you want to know more, Hilo.app. And you can find us on Google Play and the App Store. We're not selling your data. We're privacy, super compliant. We have a small business model where if you love Hilo, you can subscribe. We have a between $1 and $2 per month subscription if you love us. So we're into the volume game. We're not here to milk anyone. But yeah, we think that we have a strong value proposal, and we'd love to have all of you trying it and give us your feedback, give a note on the stores. That'd be great. But most importantly, use it and share the love, spread the love.
Wonderful. Thank you, Romain. It has been a pleasure. I encourage listeners to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Romain and his team can do for you. Check out the app. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Bluer Than Indigo Leadership, the journey of becoming a truly remarkable leader. Early in my adult life, I learned about an Asian proverb that translates as bluer than indigo. If you think about the color indigo, it is a brilliant, deep, and vibrant blue, what some would call the bluest of blues. To have something that is bluer than indigo is rare and truly remarkable. Contrary to popular myth, there is no one-size-fits-all or cookie-cutter approach to effective leadership. There is no silver bullet, no secret sauce, no go-to model that will solve all of your problems. The truth is, great leaders have all had their unique strengths and flaws, and have all had to discover and then pave their own distinctive path in their life's journey to fulfill their leadership potential. Bluer Than Indigo Leadership will help you discover your own path and explore those ordinary, everyday actions that will help you respond to an uncertain future and produce extraordinary results for individuals, teams, and organizations. Check out Human Capital Innovations magazine, Human Capital Leadership. Human Capital Leadership is a free, interactive e-magazine with the mission to help individuals, leaders, and organizations find innovative approaches to maximize their human capital potential. We publish issues quarterly in August, November, February, and May. Take a look at the latest issue and let us know what you think. The alchemy of truly remarkable leadership. Ordinary, everyday actions that produce extraordinary results. Consider how the nature of work has shifted over the past 50 years. With increased globalization, rapid technological advancement, and the shift in economic composition, the average job of today looks very different than the average job of 50 years ago. What will the jobs and organizations of tomorrow look like? Moreover, what does this all mean for organizational leaders? What are the core competencies and capabilities of organizations and their leadership that are prepared for continued disruption and geopolitical and socioeconomic shifts? Regardless of what the future holds, increasingly, leaders need to be socially minded, data-driven, decisive, champions of talent, and disruptors of the traditional notions of leadership, teams, organizations, and work. The alchemy of truly remarkable leadership will help you to explore your own leadership competencies and capabilities and consider ways to apply and implement them into your workplace and personal life. Do you enjoy the Human Capital Innovations podcast? Please subscribe, leave a review, comment, share, and consider supporting the podcast on Patreon, even at the producer and sponsorship levels. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. I hope you stay healthy and safe and that you have a great week.